We are live from the Loft 100 studios. Wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening, we always appreciate you being along for this wacky ride we call the Big Biz Show. I'm Costa here at the end of the bar. Mary Bird Godwin right there in that beautiful forest green sweater.
Feeling
Greg
great.
Todorov, our executive producer at the end of the bar. And of course, Sully right there.
How you doing over there? Shane Schaffer's here, CEO.
Is he? Because I can't see him.
Cingulate. Is there really? Okay, wait, let me ask this.
Raider Black.
Yeah.
Raider Black.
Did KC fans not like Raiders?
That's definitely our number
Same.
one rival. Broncos used to be a little bit, but it's definitely Raider haters.
Look at you, you're
Raider haters.
And to be honest with you, and I'll say,
But I wore the black.
Dude, I
got the memo.
I really appreciate it. Yep. Kansas City Chiefs fans are some of the best in the NFL, some of the most loyal in the
Is
NFL.
that the loudest stadium in the?
And it's one of the.
Loudest
And the
outdoor.
thing is,
Is it really?
Loudest
Arrowhead's-
outdoor is Arrowhead. Loudest indoor is Allen Fieldhouse,
Yeah.
Really?
where my
The
Jayhawks
Jayhawks
will
play.
be.
And Arrowhead Stadium, they've done some refurbishing. They've added more suites and stuff, but it basically is the
Does it
same.
still have the two poles and the big Chiefs logo at the end like they have had
Yep.
forever?
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
that.
It's the
And-
third oldest stadium in the NFL.
And
Did
it
they play the
still
Go to the
is.
games?
I go to a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Green Bay KC played there for the first Super Bowl?
LA Coliseum.
Yep.
And it was called the World Championship of Professional Football.
Just like you call this the large business program.
The large, the large
We do the
financial
For all of
program.
my wisdom, you have your own show called the Large Financial.
Lamar Hunt.
Lamar Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs,
his
saw
kid.
his son bounce in a Super Bowl, and he said, "God, we should call this championship game the Super Bowl."
Remember the Super Bowl? Do you know what a Super Bowl is?
No way.
Oh my
Do you know
God!
what a Super Bowl is?
Lamar Hunt. It's such an
Super Bowl.
innovator.
We used to
Wow.
get,
Yeah.
there's a little ball as a kid.
Impressive.
You could bounce it and go like 100.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly
That
right.
was the Super Bowl. And they sold
And it
those.
wasn't until Super Bowl III, Jets beating the Colts with Joe Namath down in Miami, that they started referring to it as Super Bowl. But everybody refers to it as Super Bowl I, Super Bowl II.
Shane is here because, of course, I think we got a call from, we got an email from
Let's do it.
one of his
In
shareholders.
this
correct?
Sports Minute, brought to you by.
Didn't we have one of his shareholders
We
contact
did.
us and say we should interview
Exactly
him?
right.
And we're sure glad we did.
They were
Shane,
right. I'll tell you that.
Shane Schaffer is the chairman and CEO of Cingulate. They are publicly traded under the stock symbol CING, and it's all about ADHD. But since we picked up even more affiliates since you started with us, I want to talk about the genesis. How does this start with you? Because you're a doctor. In fact, it's Dr. Shane Schaffer, by the way.
Yeah, call me Shane.
Dr. Schaff.
As
How did this start for you?
So for me, I went to pharmacy school, but I started working at Marion Merrill Dow, which was a pharmaceutical company in Kansas City. While I was still in pharmacy school, I became what they called the no-see student, because the job was paying me more just to go work there as an intern than obviously not working at all. But I started to see that by being in the industry, you can actually really impact millions of lives versus one at a time. Both are admirable. I just really fell in love with the pharmaceutical industry. It does so much good for so many people. It's one of the worst public relations entities that exists. People think of pharma as this evil entity, but you look at the millions of lives that impacts from mental health disorders, cardiovascular disorders, orthopedics, just across the board. That's where I just got passionate about it.
How did you land in the ADHD space?
So I did a postdoc fellowship with Park Davis, which became part of Pfizer, and then a lot of my old PD friends went over to a company called Novartis. And
Does one of those make Ritalin, one of those makes Adderall, I'm assuming?
you got it. So Shire was the old Adderall household, and then Ciba, which became part of Novartis, is the Ritalin.
Now, what is it, just for the rest of us, what's the difference between the two?
So both are stimulants. They're both psychostimulants. They're very, very little difference in terms of what they do at the end of the day. Ritalin's a methylphenidate, amphetamines are your Adderall and Vyvanse products. Both have almost the same exact efficacy. It really comes down to tolerability, onset, duration, things like that.
So they're interchangeable almost, right?
They're interchangeable almost all the time. A lot of docs will switch between the two. There's some preference with kids, with the methylphenidates, and the adults.
So stimulus will help people like me and Mike?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What was that?
I mean, so it's a stimulant thing.
They are stimulants, which is a misnomer, because if you have ADHD, it's not a stimulant.
You're already
It calms
bouncing
you
off the
down.
walls.
It calms you down. But if you don't have
effect.
ADHD, and you take one of these products,
You're turning into
stimulant.
ADHD.
Yeah.
It's a stimulant.
So is this a frontal lobe thing? Is something in your brain?
So that's how I came up with the name Cingulate. So you're in your prefrontal cortex, you have an area called your cingulate gyrus, right? Smack dab in the middle is called your anterior cingulate, thus Cingulate Therapeutics.
and that's how these drugs affect.
Exactly. They work right there, and it's all about executive function. It's about your ability to keep attention, to keep focus, to stop impulsivity. Like if you had a Raiders fan around here, you know, any hyperactivity. I made the band laugh. I like that. But those are the things that actually does control, and it's just about you have too many dopamine receptors, basically sucking up that neurotransmitter. What our drugs do is they basically block the reuptake. So in other words, you get a normal amount of dopamine staying in the synaptic cleft, thereby allowing you to function normally.
So didn't you say, weren't you the one that says, do you think everyone has a bit of ADHD, or you thought that you...
I mean, I for sure have it. And I just have a question though about, because when I was going in with my daughter to get diagnosed, the doctor said something about the difference between ADD and ADHD is there's the hyper, but now they're just all, they're labeling it all ADHD.
Oh, that's right, because it was attention
right?
deficit disorder, now it was attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Is that what
Does it matter, like what you're diagnosed with?
DSM-3, DSM-4. DSM is called the Diagnostical Statistical Manual. It's a psychiatrist's manual. They made it more broad. Because it is.
Cingulate can go towards both, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You basically have 3 different subtypes of ADHD, primarily inattentive, primarily hyperactive, or hyperactive inattentive. And the impulsivity is in there as well.
Before we get to the drug...
But it's ADHD now. No more
I got
no
it
more
all.
ADD.
Whatever it is, I got it.
Before we get to the drug, this is about productivity in the workplace too, isn't it? And productivity in the school, or is it just about personal relationships?
It's about all 3. And you know, it always brings me back to when you look at the epidemiology of ADHD, it's equal in men and women. Women are not as hyperactive and impulsive. That's more of the little boys, you know, little Johnny.
Right?
Presents totally differently. But when you look at the impact of ADHD, it's much more, I want to make sure I use the right word, impactful on the female side.
On the downside?
Especially young side, yes. Because women are much more expressive than men, typically. And communication skills are more important, I think, with women than men. Men, we pick up the football, we play sports and do whatever things. But females, if you're having a trouble interacting with your peers and you're interrupting them all the time, you're impulsive, you're hyperactive, you're not paying attention to them, they don't like you as much. Now, again, I'm not trying to paint too much of a broad stroke here, but it's so impactful in young girls. And we're getting much better. When I say we, the medical community, it's getting so much better at diagnosing females. It's almost even now in young kids.
And I remember somebody telling me I would get hijacked by my emotions because, and you know this, and people know this around me, because I will get so emotional about something and then I lose the ability to communicate.
I think that's just because you're introspective. I mean, you.
But it is, but I can't.
Is that hyper-focus? Is that what it is?
It's inability to, it's executive function of my emotions.
You're running through multiple thoughts.
Dysregulation.
Exactly.
Look at these big words I'm throwing around.
We know percentages from the population standpoint. How many people do have?
So when you look at the overall percentages, about 10 to 11% of adolescents and children, so think of it at 17 and below, have ADHD. 80% are diagnosed, so we're very good there. Treatment as well is good too, both psychotherapy as well as medications. So we're doing good there. The adult market, so 18 and older, it's exploding. The DSM-5 came out several years ago, and there's a great group called APSARD. Beautiful name, but
you said this
so it's the American Professional Society of ADHD and Related Disorders. Some great people, Jeff Newcorn and Childress, Greg Mattingly, have been really big people they're looking to help us understand better. Tom Spencer, by the way, that are looking at adults with ADHD. And they're coming out with really the first set of guidelines and treatments on how ADHD should be looked at and viewed in adults. So much of it starts in childhood. Most of us get to 18, so that we become adults. It's double the size, 5 million.
Yeah, right there. He said 10 to 15% of young adolescents.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, and we'll talk about this after the break, that more than 10 to 50% are being treated for it. In that.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll also talk about the drug. His name's James Schaffer. Chairman and CEO, Cingulate, C-I-N-G. You can go to their website. It's called Cingulate.com. We are the Big Biz Show. More.